Hey guys, it's Gabe. Welcome to CBD Day, the YouTube channel dedicated to telling you everything you want to know about our favorite cannabinoid, CBD. Alright, before we start this video in specific, I just want to say, if you like this video at any point, you learn anything, please just leave a like or a comment telling me what you learned, anything like that, and hit that subscribe button if you're interested in these kind of videos, or if you're interested in CBD at all, because that's what my whole channel's about. I put a lot of work into this, so if you want to share it, just show some love. It'll help a lot for my small channel. Want to sound smart? Ask any science major, ask any professor what the endocannabinoid system is and what it's actually named after. Good trivia there. Then surprise, surprise, answers cannabis. Isn't that crazy? Scientific thing, like something that's referred to in our body by doctors. It's actually named after cannabis. So you could probably already see I had way too much fun making this video. Rewind and talk about what is the endocannabinoid system in the first place, right? And what does the endocannabinoid system have to do with, this video, THC versus CBD? So as we talked about in my first video, CBD and THC are both cannabinoids, right? Which are part of the 113 cannabinoids in the cannabis plants that affect, that impact our minds, bodies, or anything of ourselves in any way. And the only reason they affect us is because of the endocannabinoid system, which we have inside of our body. So the endocannabinoid system was actually only discovered 31 years ago. When scientists were trying to figure out why when people smoked marijuana, weed, why it got them so high. And then they found this little pesky, cannabinoid, THC, right? And they were like, okay, so where does this go? So they found that THC went to these CB1 and CB2 receptors. These two receptors also were part of this huge landscape that they found of nerves and neurotransmitters in our body known as the endocannabinoid system. But let's go for a proper definition, all right? So the endocannabinoid system is a biological system composed of endocannabinoids, right, which are indigenous lipid-based retrograde neurotransmitters that bind cannabinoid receptors and cannabinoid receptor proteins that are expressed throughout the vertebrae central nervous system, including brain and peripheral nervous system. The endocannabinoid system is involved in regulating a variety of physiological and cognitive processes. All right, of course I got that off Wikipedia. You guys already know how it is. But again, scientific jargon, right? So let's make it simple, right? We're gonna call it ECS for now, endocannabinoid system, right? ECS. The ECS is basically a bunch of doors that have locks to open them for our body. So in our mind, in our body, we have these kind of locks that when you unlock it, some things can happen, cause and effect type of thing, just all throughout our body. And here's what it looks like. So as you can see, it's like, there's a lot going on there. There's a lot going on, and it's all throughout our body, and it affects us a lot. So the endocannabinoid system isn't only for cannabis. As I said before, it was actually named after cannabis. But if we've had this endocannabinoid system our whole lives, obviously, we have been using cannabis since we were born. When do we know, when the endocannabinoid system has affected us, or what can we relate it to in ourselves? So I don't know about you guys, but I used to do a lot of running. If you run, maybe you know, or at least you've heard of it, but the runner's high. So the runner's high is actually anandamide, and anandamide is actually just a natural cannabinoid that our body has within ourselves. And when we push ourselves to certain lengths, this cannabinoid gets released throughout our body and can make us feel a certain way or think a certain way, and so forth. People say that anandamide is THC's natural indigenous equivalent that's within ourselves. I don't know if I'd go as far to agree with that, but it's something. All right, so now that we kind of have an understanding about the ECS, what does CBD and what does THC have to do with this, right? Well, let's start with delta-9 tetrahydrocannabidiol, also known as THC, right? When you think of THC, you're thinking of delta-9 THC or delta-9 tetrahydrocannabidiol. So when THC is introduced to your body, it goes straight to your CB1 and CB2 receptors, like I kind of mentioned before when they found that out about the studies, right? And kind of the first thing, the first thing it does when it gets into your endocannabinoid system or your ECS in general is it just releases a ton of dopamine. And then with this, a bunch of dopamine comes a bunch of euphoria, and relaxation with this excess of dopamine that your body's always craving. And this is actually what causes the high. Now, going into more specifics, when THC enters your body and it goes to your CB1 receptor, the CB1 receptor is basically a receptor that has to do with your mental and your brain and how you think, all that type of stuff. So when it hits your CB1 receptor, it starts to affect and overstimulate things that have to do with your memory, cognition, sensory perception, time perception, and mood. But like I was saying, it doesn't only go to your CB1 receptor, it goes to your CB2 receptor also, right? So when it binds to your CB2 receptor, it can have those kind of medical anti-inflammatory effects, but then like that is at the cost of your immune system kind of effectiveness gets lowered, which, you know, I don't know, that's not really worth to me, but... And then also in your CB2 receptor, THC releases ghrelin, which is kind of the munchy hormone, makes you very hungry, want to eat everything, but that goes to your CB2 receptor. And then people say that the tiredness that comes from THC is from the euphoria and dopamine. I think that it can make you sleepy, but I think with all the dopamine going through your body, it's actually hard to sleep. Okay, so now we talked about THC, let's talk about CBD, right? So since CBD kind of has been researched more recently compared to THC, since THC is, you know, taking the spotlight of mind altering and all these other effects, CBD research is a little newer, but I was able to find enough scientific articles, scientific journals, and general good writing on it. Definitely check my description. You can read full articles. And I also put the names of some really great authors that I'm referencing some of their work throughout this. So definitely check them out because I wouldn't have this information without them. So in contrast to THC, CBD actually targets certain receptors. They don't really go into your CB1 and CB2 receptor as much. It's not clear how much they affect those two receptors, especially in comparison to THC, where it's very clear that something's going on there. It's speculated that it really doesn't interact at all with the CB1 and CB2 receptors, but like I said, not clear yet. But what is clear is some of the receptors CBD does interact with. So one of the receptors that CBD clearly interacts with is the serotonin 1A receptor, which by enhancing the stimulation of this receptor actually produces more serotonin, which some antidepressants like SSRIs, SNRIs, MAOIs, and even over-the-counter medications like 5-HTP also target this to stimulate to create more serotonin. Also, the activation of this receptor is said to have a significant role in the positive effects of serotonin release in SRAs such as MDMA. Also, the stimulation of this receptor is known to lower blood pressure, which is also something that can affect people's moods and kind of give you that more relaxed feeling. Lower blood pressure makes you feel more relaxed. So that's where that property also comes in. And also the stimulation of this receptor is also part of the anti-anxiety effects that CBD is known to bring. So it's not just, you know, a natural SSRI. This receptor specifically does a ton of things, and CBD targets it very, very well. Another target of the CBD is the vanilloid receptor. CBD actually binds to the TRPV1 receptors, and that achieves also another sense of its therapeutic effects in thermoregulation. So that's kind of how your body temperature feels. The inflammation, which, you know, in a better way than THC does, and your perception of pain, so pain reduction property right there. Now, one of the most amazing, interesting things I found in my research is that CBD actually is known as an anandamide reuptake inhibitor, which if you remember, like I was talking about before, anandamide is kind of referred to as THC's natural equivalent. Now, like, you know, don't get so skeptical. I'll tell you exactly how this works to my best ability. So might want to take some notes and of course look at the articles below because they explain it way better than I ever could. CBD, when introduced to your body, tries to bind itself to cell membranes to become effective. The way it does this is by hitching a ride on fatty acid binding proteins, right? Which other endocannabinoids like 2-AG, THC, and anandamide like to also use. But when CBD hijacks these, it kind of kicks out anandamide and it even kicks out THC. That's why a lot of people say if you smoke something with CBD or you ingest CBD while you're on a crazy THC high, then it can bring it down. It's actually because it's literally kicking the THC out of your body. But when it specifically kicks out anandamide out of those fatty acid binding proteins, anandamide then has to be broken down by fatty acid anandamide hydrolase. Then it becomes metabolized by your body and used. So these are just some of the key points, like some of the biggest differences, kind of explaining the two differences and how they work, like scientifically in your body. But I think there's like two huge contrasts that, you know, if someone asks what are the differences, there's two big things that you can tell people. And one, CBD is totally different than THC because CBD doesn't make you go dopamine crazy, and it doesn't really mess with your CB1 receptor, which is, like I said, what affects your brain and your mental. So it kind of keeps that all under control, right? And CBD targets specific parts of your endocannabinoid system to benefit you with things like serotonin, anandamide, and a whole list of more benefits. Unlike THC, which really isn't as focused of a chemical and kind of just goes throughout. This week I should be doing my first product review. Super stoked. I'm also, it's not going to be my Hebe Titan 2, but I am doing a review of this soon. But I have a review, and I think you guys are gonna love it. If you guys are into the CBD community, you're actually gonna know the people that I'm doing a review for. So I'm excited for it. I hope you guys are excited for it. Definitely watch out for that. Like I said at the beginning of this video, if you made it to the end, thank you so much. Definitely leave a like if you learned something. Tell me what you learned. Tell me what you want to know. You know, share this with someone to inform them if they don't know about CBD. People have questions, you could just send them this video, you know, and its contrast from THC. And also, like I said in the middle of the video, check out all of the articles below if you have if you want to know more and in-depth research. Highly recommend it, and I hope you guys all learned something. All right, so my name's Gabe, and thank you for watching CBD Day, and I hope you guys all have a great day. See you guys later. Peace.